Pranam Swamiji, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Couple of quick announcements. For the people who are attending only this session, we have few more printouts of Aparokshanubhuti Verse available here, which was distributed in the morning along with the Gita Verse. So if anyone wants, you can collect it from here. The other announcement is we have Puja Swamiji Aradhana next on 23rd, a week after. So if anyone is interested to attend, please come. It will be morning around 10:30, and the program will be published in our weekly email as well as on our website. So just want to mention about that. The other one is, as you all know, the ashram runs on donations. So if anyone is interested to know about the gift for the day and the patrons program, please stop by office after lunch. And anyone in the office, Indraji, or anyone else, we will be able to guide you on that. Thank you.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shruti Smriti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namame Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Ajnana Prabhavam Sarvam Jnanena Praviliyate Sankalpo Vividha Karta Vicharassoyami drushaha. So we are looking at this small section of Aparokshanubhuti consisting of a few verses, 4 or 5, in which the importance of vichara, the inquiry of the self-inquiry, is highlighted. So vicharassoyami drushaha. So you have to inquire, investigate, explore in yourself. This Atma Vichara has to be done. That is how you come to realize yourself. What happens is, people take these things very superficially, and the systems, etc. are there, which are quite misleading. In this society, there are systems created. So generally, a system is created for the benefit of the student or the individual. For that reason, system is created. But then the individuals becomes victims of the system. They start serving the system instead of the system serving the individuals. You understand what I mean? Like in India, we have the municipality. Why there is municipality? Why do we need municipality? Because they are supposed to serve the citizens. That's why they are there. But a point comes when they don't undertake any civil activities. They don't do anything. The roads they do not clean. The sewers they do not do anything about. When the rain comes, the roads are flooded. They don't know how to deal with it. They are almost not there in any public service activity. So they are not there. There is a department called Public Works Department. It is known more in its absence than in its presence. So the municipality, we remember the municipality only when we have to pay tax. And the only thing the municipality does is collect taxes. I asked a municipal officer who came to collect the taxes, so why do you collect the taxes? Because you are not doing any service, you know. Then he said, without taxes, where from we get our salaries? Therefore, they collect taxes, and the tax, all people do not pay taxes also. Therefore, whatever tax they get, they come after the people who are paying the tax. They leave those who do not pay, they leave them alone. And whoever pays, so they collect the money and they take it as their salary, and they don't do anything else. So the municipality is a system which is created to serve the citizens. But they don't do that. The citizens serve the system by giving salaries. You got how it gets appended. Did you notice that? This is how the systems happen. Therefore, the system is supposed to help us. The systems in the world, there are but the exceptions. Otherwise they are supposed to help us in self-knowledge. Help us in self-knowledge. So, and how self-knowledge will happen? It happens because of the system. You have a place, you have a master, that's why self-knowledge happens. That is the impression given. There is a place, therefore the place will give you self-knowledge. How? Then there is a master and he will give you, he or she, generally he gives you self-knowledge. How master can give self-knowledge to you? Self-knowledge is not a thing to be inherited. It's not a piece of property to be inherited. Self-knowledge, you have to know yourself by inquiring into yourself. That is how it happens. I always say, I want to know more about this, I have to look at it and examine it. Then that is how I know more about it. Similarly, I have to look at myself, look within, search within, look within. That is the slogan. And so that is the call, clarion call. Search within, look within. So, you see, when you examine, you investigate or inquire, you encounter the false. And when you see the false as false, the false dissolves. Very simple. The false won't bother you anymore. Otherwise, the false will make you suffer to no end. But when you investigate and see the false as false, the false dissolves. Because it is the very nature of falsehood or illusion to dissolve on investigation. Just like the sarpa, the serpent that you see, on investigation, it vanishes. The serpent vanishes. I have to tell you the serpent story, which I have not told till now, in this session of the Aparokshanubhuti. So 3 brahmacharis are walking on a footpath, and suddenly they saw a serpent in the way. It is dusk. There must be dusk, otherwise they don't see serpent. If it is daylight, they won't see serpent. If it is dark, then also they don't see serpent. It is like you don't have the ego while you are asleep, and you don't have the ego when you are self-realized also. Only in that twilight zone, when you do not know yourself properly, there is an ego. Anyway, ego is the serpent, So they tell the story, Kaliya Mardana, the Lord Krishna, they take it literally. The story is the most improbable story taken literally. Taken in spirit, the most beautiful story. What is the literal story? There was a pond, and there is a snake sitting underneath the waters of the pond. No snake sits like that. It is not possible. There are some water snakes which live in water, and they are harmless. They don't have poison. And the poisonous snakes, they are land creatures. They are not water creatures. But in the story, the pond under the serpent, the vicious serpent. The pond is the heart. The vicious serpent is the ego. That is how it makes sense. Otherwise it makes no sense. And then there is the poison. The egotism is the poison. And Sri Krishna jumps from a tree onto its hoods and dances. And so the dance, because of the dancing on the hoods get broken and the serpent is punished. That is the story. Now it is only this much. You study Gita and understand the message of Lord Sri Krishna, your ego will get demolished. That is the meaning of it. That is the way you have to take. Therefore, so you have to look within, search within, and understand, locate the ego and its machinations. And thereby, the ego, if it is true, it persists. If it is false, it dissolves. But the truth is, the saving grace is, the ego is not true, it is a shadow. Therefore it will dissolve. So these brahmacharis are walking on the path and they saw the serpent. Okay, this is the Rajju Sarpa Drishtantaha. So they saw the serpent. All the three saw the serpent because it is dusk. And then one of them ran to get a lathi to beat the serpent. So you know the attitude, the karmic person. They say like that. So karma, they make an adjective out of it by calling it karmic. So in Sanskrit, karmikaha means the one who works hard. That is also there. So the karmic person runs to fetch a lathi, a stout wooden piece, in order to beat the serpent to death. That he runs, or he is about to run. Then there is the upasaka guy, dualistic religious guy. He has serpent mantras, he knows the serpent mantras, and so he starts chanting the serpent mantras. Because he believes that by chanting a mantra, the serpent will be arrested in its movement. Bandha, sarpa bandhaha, Sanskrit expression. The serpent cannot move anymore, it cannot wriggle, it cannot go back, it cannot come forward, it gets arrested where it is, how it is. That is the power of the mantra. That is what he believes. And so he knows the mantra. And so he chants it. Then the third person says, just wait. Your lathi can wait. Your mantra also can wait. I have a battery light. Let us see what it is clearly, because it looks like a serpent all right, but I am not sure, it is dusk. So let me examine it. And so he focuses the battery light and examines it. It is a rope. Now once the three of them see the rope, the mantra person forget about his mantras. He is not going to push the mantras anymore. The lathi person doesn't run for the lathi because the serpent just dissolves. That is the magic of imagination, that on investigation it just dissolves. And so Shankara advises us to conduct an inquiry into your true self. Look within and conduct a true inquiry. Vichara soyami drushaha. That you have to do. So now in the present context, the inquiry is sankalpo vividha karta. That is the inquiry. Who is the karta here? There is a karta here. So means the entire field of action you have to examine in yourself. I suggest this is an important topic of study, and you are advised to get the spirit of what is described and examine your life in the light of this vision. And the vision is sankalpo vividha karta, the doer. Who is the doer? There are actions. Who is the doer? That is the topic of discussion. So, you see, action is very important, you know. We examine action in Gita very seriously because our whole life, our whole existence, our whole life is a process of action. You see, we hear expressions like sarva karma sannyasa. There, it is not action per se that you are supposed to give up. It is the sense of doership that you give up. That is how you give up the actions. You see, somebody is carrying a few goodies in a box on his head. Now it is very heavy. So now what he is supposed to do? Take out the goodies one after the other and throw out, or throw the box aside. That is easy, you know. Therefore, that is how we give up actions, not one after the other, not one by one. If you start giving up actions one by one, whole life you will be giving up actions. Because there are actions, the moment you wake up there are actions. As long as there is life, there are actions. And you have to give up. No, yesterday I gave up. Yesterday giving up is not enough. Today also you have to give up. Tomorrow also you have to give up. Whole life you will be giving up actions only. And some actions you cannot give up also. Suppose inhaling and exhaling is also an action. How are you going to give it up? Right? and then heartbeat is an action, suppose. How are you going to give it up? So there are actions which you cannot even give up. Thinking is an action, you know that? Thinking is a doing at a very subtle level. What you do with hands and legs, etc. is a doing, and when you think, that is also a doing. Now suppose you have to give up doing, means you have to give up thinking. I will see, you give up thinking, I will see. How are you going to give up thinking? Therefore, the process of action in oneself, one has to carefully understand. Because we live by action. Bhikshacharyan charanti. Even after taking to a life of sannyasa, the person has to make some arrangement for lunch and dinner. Some arrangement he has to make. Either they bring it and give you, or you go and get it, or you make a small kitchen and cook it, do something or the other. You have to make some arrangement, okay, for bhiksha. That is action only. Therefore, we live by action, and without action, there is no life. Also what we call experience. There is no experience without action. And thinking itself is an action. Therefore, without action, there is no thinking is also, because thought is action. Therefore, you have to understand the whole process of action itself. That is what you have to do. You should not, to understand the whole process of action, the precondition is that you should not be caught up in the outward action. You are doing some profile, some job or some work, and you get caught up in that. Then you will not get that felicity to examine the whole process of action in yourself. Suppose I say I am an engineer, and now I am at 24/7 I am caught up in the activities associated with the job. At 24/7 I am caught up with it. Then when will I get a chance to examine the whole process of action? Therefore, you should have some felicity, some leisure, inner leisure, to examine. That examination is not an action. It is vicharaha. It goes beyond action. It is jnana. And so you need that leisure, inner leisure, to apply, to take advantage of the knowledge that you are capable of. You are capable of knowing. Knowing is not doing. It is different. That faculty is with you. You can do and you can also know. The doing should not become so overwhelming that you totally ignore the knowing element. You should not do that. Therefore, you do your job nice, fully work hard, but you devote at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a given day to examine the whole process of action in life. If you don't do that, this action that you are performing day after day, non-stop, you are caught up in the activities of life, making money, making a family, then building a building, then making a living, bringing up the family. So all this action, if you are totally caught up in all of that, that will lead to tremendous frustration and misery. Therefore, you are not only a doing entity, but also a knowing entity. That is what you are. You have to understand yourself correctly. And so you have to take advantage of that power of knowing in you to examine the process of action in your life. So that is the vichara which we are trying to do. Are you okay? So are you ready for the vichara, the inquiry? You see, action creates the actor. Actor is not Hollywood actor, okay? Doer, that is what I mean. Because I am saying action, I am saying actor. Every time I say actor, you remember Clint Eastwood or something like that. That is not the way. So action creates an actor. You see how it happens? The actor comes into existence. The actor comes up when the action has a result in view. This is the essence of Gita. So karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. there is action. And you are supposed to perform the action. You are not supposed to give up and sit lazily in a corner. You have to do it. But then while doing, one precaution is given, one caution is given, if you are willing to understand. At least be open about it. Do not resist. Be open. That much you should do. No, I am not open, I will resist whatever you say. Then that won't help at all. So, hoping that you are not conditioned wrongly, hoping that you are open to an investigation or inquiry, I present this point before you. When there is an action, the result comes into focus. Not focus, the result also becomes a part of the context. Action is a context. Action creates the actor. Only when the result comes into the context. Got the point? So, result is the end in view. It is in the view. So you want to perform an action and you are ready to perform an action. Maybe you started performing the action also, but even while performing the action, in that consciousness, which is the source of all actions, in the consciousness, there is the result also. The end in view means you desire the result of the action. Okay? Therefore, now there is action, there is a result, now actor will come. Suppose there is no end in view. Suppose. Just consider that situation. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. Karma is there. You are also adhikaras sambandhaha. You are associated with the karma. Means you are performing the action. But the result of that action is not in the picture. In the context, the result is not there. Means you do not think of the result. You do not desire the result. You are not focused on the result. Result is in the future. Result is not in the present. So you do not think of it. You do not focus on that. You do not desire that result. Whatever is possible with reference to the result, I have covered and dismissed. Therefore, there is no result. Action is there. Now, there will be no actor. Karta will not be there. Karma will be there. Karta will not be there. Did you ever hear your mother claiming that she is cooking food day after day and serving you? Did you ever hear that? Why you did not hear? Even when she is frustrated and angry with you, you did not hear the mother telling, I am cooking for so many years and serving you. You must not have heard that kind of a thing, unless the mother is very modern and all that. Or the mother has studied some Vedanta wrongly. These are two possibilities. Except these two possibilities, no mother should have said, I am working hard for 20 years, 30 years, preparing food and serving all you brats. So never you have heard that. What could be the reason? Because there is no actor. There is no actor. Poor lady, there is no actor in her life. There is only action. Therefore, never question, how can there be action without the desire for the result thereof? Don't ask such a question. It doesn't behove you to ask such a question. Because in your life, you have seen your mother working hard whole life without being an actor. You must have noticed that. So, therefore, this kind of an argument, how can there be an actor, how can there be an action without the result, without the desire for the result, is a very shallow argument, not only shallow, but highly misleading argument. I am sorry to say that. So, therefore, understand there is action. It all begins with action. It doesn't begin with actor. Here, the Nayayikas and the Vedantins differ. The Nayayikas said there is actor who performs the action. Vedantins say, sir, you got it wrong. There is first the action, then comes the actor. Only when there is the desire for the result thereof. Suppose you take a scissor and cut that part of it. Ma is the scissor. Ma phaleshu kadachana. There is no desire for the result thereof. That is cut off. That leaves only karma. Now there is no karta. There is no karta. Only karma is there. Let me examine the whole thing. Therefore action, desire for the result and the desire for the result. Action, result, desire for the result, and then actor comes. That is one unitary process. Means all of that is a single movement of your consciousness. In your consciousness, you think of an action. All action originates in thought. You think of performing an action because you desire a given result. That situation establishes you as the actor. That is one single movement it is. Okay? Or there is action. There is action. Okay? And the consciousness is wise. And it gets the vision of Sri Krishna, what Sri Krishna says. Ma phaleshu kadachana. So, it is very easy, not difficult. Not difficult at all. Very easy. I am taking a class, action is there, and there is no result in the scene. It is not there anywhere in the scene. And therefore the desire for the result is not there. Therefore there is no doer. There is no doer. Means there is no teacher. There is no speaker except for some conventions of language. We use the word speaker. I use the word speaker. I don't even like to use the word teacher so much. So, this teacher taught, it puts the whole thing in a different spin. So speaker, you are listening, the speaker is speaking, that is enough. So, there is no result in mind. There is no desire for the result. The action goes on smoothly, but there is no actor. It is such an obvious thing it is. So it is again a process, a movement in the consciousness. What is the movement? In contrast to what I have just now described, now there is action, but there is no result. There is no result means you take it in the right spirit. There will be result or whatever. There is no result in view, and there is no desire for the result. And therefore, there is no actor. Look at that. So, therefore, there is no actor. Means it is possible when there is no desire for the result. Okay? What will you do? Why do you desire the result? Because you want to become somebody other than what you are, or you want to own something which you do not own. That is how the results are. Therefore, when there is no actor, there is no becoming. There is no becoming. There is only the being. No actor, no desire for the result. In fact, the very idea of result doesn't enter into the consciousness. Therefore, the question of desiring the result doesn't arise. But there is action, because all action originates in the thought. There is action going on, and hence no actor. What a beautiful thing it is. So, generally, people, they act with an end in view, namely to become something or the other. That is how they act, and that is how they create an actor in themselves, and they identify with that actor, and they live the life of an actor, the doer, and suffer to no end, and acquire papa and punya, and prepare the suffering for the next birth also. Okay, next birth can be considered speculative. In this birth also, you act and act during the youth, and middle age you act and prepare the ground for suffering in the rest of the life. I have done that. I brought up my son. He doesn't care for me. He doesn't call me. So one person told me, my son doesn't even call me. So when you go to America, please give a call to him. I said, that is not the thing to be done. Then what is to be done? You need not call your son need not call you. I need not call your son to give any advice and all that. What all needed is you come and attend Gita classes. That is all you have to do. In those days I was teaching Gita. The classes were going on. You come and sit in the class. In fact, your son is giving you a nice message. Dad, go and sit in Swami's class, Gita class. That is the message. An unspoken message it is. Why don't you get the message? Therefore, this is how, in the old age, people suffer from frustration because the whole life they were actors, acting for an end in view. Therefore, the whole life becomes a process of becoming something. That is how the life of action continues. You want to become something. This becoming is a strife. It is pain. It is a constant battle in life that you have to become something or the other. In the anxiety to become, you fail to notice the being. The being is sacrificed at the altar of becoming. Very unfortunate, this constant battle, the rich man, the poor man struggling to become the rich, and the rich man competing with the richer to maintain his position. And so even artists, suppose somebody is an artist, he tries to use the art to become somebody. That's why they get frustrated. All the artists are frustrated mostly. All the musicians, dancers, and artists, painters, they are a frustrated lot, mostly. But the exceptions can be there here and there. If they open their heart, you can see so much frustration. The dancer says, I struggle so much on the dais, which is true, but people do not appreciate. People, what they do, they come to the dance, and after watching for 5-10 minutes, they go out because outside there are donuts and coffee. Donuts and coffee is more valuable than the struggle which the lady is having on the dais. And therefore, no surprise, the lady is frustrated. The dancer is frustrated. So this is how people are. In job also, they are no different. They are frustrated. So, because they are acting all the time with a result in the view, then the person, they write a book and get frustrated. Then nobody reads my book, the number of copies are not sold. Somebody else's book is more popular. Useless book, James Hadley Chase book is more popular than Karma Yoga book. Karma Yoga book, 1,000 copies are printed, and still I have my copies with me, most of them. Whereas James Hadley Chase, what is there in it? It is a New York bestseller. Is there any nyayam in this world? There is no justice in this world. Therefore, frustration. The artists are frustrated. Michelangelo, he used to make a painting. When he was hungry, he doesn't have money to purchase food. Then he quickly, hurriedly paints a picture and then sells it on the roadside. A painting I have done, will you purchase? He used to sell it for a quarter. And with the quarter, he purchases one packet of bread. And he eats it, drinks a lot of water and sleeps. That is how Michelangelo lived. He was never frustrated, never. So I don't know much about the biography. This much I have read, and I had this thing. The reading, I could not finish it. I could not come to Michelangelo's life yet. But if you read, probably you will find more details. I could get some sketchy details like what I told you. Therefore, the writers, the painters, they are all frustrated because there is always an end in view. My painting should go to Sotheby. auction. Or at least it should be auctioned in a cruise. At least somewhere it has to be auctioned. Somewhere. Otherwise I get frustrated. And when the young painter, son or daughter, gets frustrated, the parents gets frustrated. Because parents wanted him to become an engineer or a doctor. Okay, but he became a painter. You look at that. And he paints some silly things with a pencil or with a chalk or whatever. He paints well, all right, but there are too many people who paint well. He is one of the crowd. And who cares for his paintings? So he shows them here and there. Very unhappy soul, I tell you. So these musicians, those who are successful, who make a lot of money, are very arrogant people. The arrogance is pouring out of every pore of their body. Very arrogant. So, what is all this going on? So, this is the process of becoming. Because in our life, in every action, we have an end in view, a result to be achieved. And in that process, this is the process of becoming. There is an endless battle, ceaseless battle. People are fighting with themselves and with others. First they fight with themselves, a battle is enacted in the consciousness, then it comes out and you fight with others outside. So it is said Hitler has enacted the Second World War in his consciousness during 1935 to 1939. For 4 years that is what he was doing, enacting a war in his consciousness. And in 1939 he invaded Poland and started the Second World War. So this is how we live. And so this battle, to finish that example, that battle which he enacted in his consciousness and which he enacted outside has doomed his life. It brought an end to his life. We are no different. We are enacting this battle inside all the time, acting for a result, and so constantly trying to become something or the other, and there is a ceaseless or endless battle, strife, pain. What I said may sound very philosophical, but it is not philosophical, it is our daily life. And this ambition is the poisonous bread that we consume on a daily basis. And that is how we become actors to gain something, and that is how we waste our life. I have to catch my breath. So, that actor acting for an end in view is a false entity. The doer, the actor, is not you. You are not the actor. So that is a big statement, that you are not the actor. You have to investigate, where does the action originate? From where the action originates? It is not Atma, it is not you. It is not the real you. The action originates from the mind. Sankalpo vividhaha karta. The mind is the origin of action, and also the mind is the actor. Mind is the actor. So there is a thought, and the thought of action, then followed by the thought of the result, then followed by the thought in the form of desire for the result, followed by the thought which has now become the actor. Sankalpo vividhaha karta. Atma is not the actor. So that is the topic, a big statement. Vividhaha nana prakara sankalpaha idam karishyami ityadi lakshanaha antahkarana parinamaha. So karana anukula vyaparavan karta. Like the Tikakara says, Therefore, there is this mind, the thought process, which thinks of an action, thinks of the result, desires for the result, desires the result, and that is how it creates out of itself the doer, the actor. And therefore, the me, the actor me, is nothing but the movement of mind. The me is always associated with mine. That is the result, my result, my goal. I have to become that. That is the mine. That mine associated with me. Mine defines the desire for the result, and me defines the actor. And me and mine, they are a syndrome. Why syndrome? Because they are false. If they are real, they will not be a syndrome. They are false. And where are they located? Not here. This is Atma. Let us say broadly, at least provisionally, this is Atma, and this is the me and mine. The me and mine, if you examine carefully, today in the meditation I tried to hint it, so you don't find, you check, do you have me and mine in the legs? No, you don't have me and mine in the legs or hands. Maybe in hands. I do. The hands, if you notice, people, their hands are tight because ready to do. Ready to do. Sense of doership. You should have a relaxed hands, you should have, hands should relax. How they can relax? They cannot relax because they have to pull something or the other and do something or the other. The sense of doership drives the hands, the muscles and the blood flow and the organ of action. The sense of doership drives the organ of action. That's why people have shoulders somewhat up, hunched up shoulders, ready to do something or the other. They sit like this, but ready to do something or the other. There is a meditation where you are advised that you are not the actor. Relax. Keep the shoulders relaxed and tell the hands there is nothing to do, relax. You tell the hands, then they will relax. You got the point? Therefore, you are not the actor. It is the thought which is the actor. Sankalpo vividhaha karta. So the me and mine. Mine is the result-desiring entity, that which desires the result. That is the entity called mine. Me is the actor entity. Both are located. None is in the heart. Both are in the head. So, unfortunately, we are head people. We are not heart people. As children, we were heart people. Then as we grew up, we have become intellectuals. So we have migrated from the heart to the head, from the love to the logic, from Brahman or Atma to me and mine. That is how we migrated. Now the spiritual journey that we are talking about is the reverse migration. You go back to your home. This is not your home. The me and mine that you notice in the head, if you can observe, close the eyes and check, locate the me and mine, you don't find it in the kneecaps or the legs or the thighs or the tummy, etc. Tummy you find hunger, which can invoke a little me, but otherwise predominantly you don't find me and mine in the heart, certainly not. You can locate the me and mine, the culprit, in the head, in the brain cells, in the DNA brain cells. That means the neurons or the DNA of the brain cells is cheating you, telling that you are the actor. It is cheating you. Now, by vichara soyamedrushaha, this investigation, this inquiry, it is aimed at counter-cheating those genes and telling them, shut up, I am not the actor. Okay? Therefore, you have to grow in the reverse direction. That is the growth. Spiritual growth is the reverse direction. So from head, you have to grow into the heart. You have to descend into the heart. That is the spiritual growth. So from intellectual to innocence. This is innocence. This is intellect. From the intellect to innocence. From me and mine to Atma. From logic and calculations and accounts. So the me and mine is fit for accountancy only. It is not fit for any wisdom. Therefore, from that accountancy, the me and mine, its calculations, its stratagems, etc., it has to give up all that. From there, you have to come down to love. Logic and no logic, love of Atman. Once I remember one of the students asked, so Swami, TV tells that we should be illogical. Did I tell that you should be illogical? I did not tell that you should be illogical. In fact, you should be logical. I am not asking you to be illogical. But I am saying give more importance in life to love than logic. That is not illogical. Therefore, don't confuse like that. And so, that is the spiritual journey. There is no other spiritual journey. People talk of spiritual journeys in which something called Mooladhara or whatever, Kundalini, rises up and up and up and it goes here. Those to whom the Kundalini has gone here, suppose they are very arrogant, very egotistic, angry, frustrated people. Don't go near them. Keep a distance and bless them and keep a distance because they are very frustrated and very angry also. And they have a big ego, very big ego. Rich man's ego is nothing before that ego. That spiritual ego it is called. And therefore, don't go near them. These head people. You don't be head people in life. You try to become the heart people in life, in which there is Atma and things happen, actions happen. Everything happens by itself, quite spontaneously. See, now it is time for lunch time is approaching. So spontaneously, the walking takes place. You don't walk. Walking, sankalpo vividha karta. The one which walks is the sankalpa, the consciousness, which knows where the food is there. Somebody asked me, Swami, who takes care of your food? I tell, the mind takes care of the food. Mind takes care of the body, including the food needs. Mind takes care. Sankalpo vividha karta. So if mind takes care of the food, then what do you do? I don't do anything. You understand? So that is the Atma. I don't do anything. Mind takes care of the food. So things happen. Everything happens by itself, quite spontaneously. That is how things happen. But man imagines that he is the doer. And he imagines that he works for a goal, works for an incentive towards a goal. So there are no goals. All the goals that you imagine are only that much imagination. It is like a mirage, running behind a mirage. Therefore, you are not an actor. So, now I will bring out another important point before I conclude this class. That is, there is difference between work and action. They are not same. Action is different from work. Work is the movement in which subtle or gross. Subtle movement is the mind. Gross movement is the physical action. So the work is the movement, subtle or gross, which happens spontaneously, for which there is no actor. Whereas action is the movement for which there is an actor. You got the point? Whole nature works. The wind blows. There is no blower, no actor. The river flows. There is no actor. And the heart beats. It is not an actor. The blood flows. That is not an actor. The food is digested. That is not an actor. The inhalation, exhalation takes place without there ever being an actor. No actor. The whole nature works. Whole nature. Planets go round the sun. They are not actors. Electrons go round the nucleus. They are not actors. Animals perform all kinds of actions, all kinds of work they do. They are not actors. Cow grazes without being a bhokta. Horse draws the cart without being an actor. Whole nature works. No actor. Only it is the human being, in his or her folly, imagines a goal, seeks a goal, keeps an end in view, and performs the work. That becomes action. Karma versus kriya. Whole nature has kriya, no actor. It is the human being who performs karma, even the ritual. The ritual is performed with an end in view. With an end in view. The priest performs with an end in view. The devotee performs with an end in view. That is the temple, where the priest is an actor, the devotee is an actor. Temple people also should examine these things, because we are all students of Vedanta, you know. Whole nature works. Work is nature. Nature around. Nature is work. On the other hand, action is based on desire and fear. Till now I have not said about fear. Not only desire, but also fear. People perform actions goaded by fear. There is a thing called graha mantra japa. You chant the mantra that praises the glory of a planet, graha, because you are afraid of that graha. Shani mantra, chant 10,000 times, because you are afraid of Shani. Suppose I am not afraid of Shani. I need not chant 10,000 times. I can chant one time with joy. Shanno devi ravishtaya apo bhavantu petaye shanyo ravisravantu naha. I am so happy to say it. I did not want to lose the opportunity to say it, because so much joy in saying it. I am not chanting 10,000 times, because I am not afraid of Shani. People who are afraid of Shani, without knowing anything about that mantra, will be chanting it 10,000 times. Fear and desire. So, the activity or action is based on desire and fear. The longing to possess and enjoy. That is how people perform actions. They long to possess and enjoy. Suppose there is no longing to possess and enjoy, then there will be action without there being an actor. Work doesn't fatigue you, doesn't pull you down. It is the action that makes you tired, exhausted, physically as well as psychologically, not work. More of the work will make you more healthy. Even less of the action, seeking a result, desiring a result, it pulls you down and it wears you down. So, therefore, work and action, one more difference. Work is by the whole, for the whole. River flows, that is work. And a river flows because of the whole. Whole makes the river flow. And the advantage of the flow of river is also for the whole only. The whole makes the river flow, and the whole is it gains the advantage of the flow of the river. Is it not so? Why not make life like that of a river? It is compared like that. Yatha nadyaha. So life is that of a river, and it is the higher power which makes the river flow. It is the higher power which takes the life forward. And when the river flows, who gets the advantage? the higher power gets the advantage, if you can call that. Because the river is not seeking any advantage. So, therefore there is no actor, there is only higher power. Therefore action by the higher power, for the higher power. That is the river, that is the wind, that is this life. How glorious it is. Yatha nadyaha syandamanaha, that is tatha vidwan, namarupe vihaya. The one who knows the secret of action acts in such a way that it is the whole acts through him or her, and it is the whole that benefits from him or her. That is the action. Therefore, Atma is not the actor. Atma is not the doer. You are the Atma, you are not the doer. No, if I am not the doer, then who is the doer? You want to fill the blank, who is the doer? Okay, have it. Sankalpo vividha karta. All kinds of thoughts of becoming that you are entertaining in your head, they are the doer, not you. Let us finish the verse. Ajnana prabhavam sarvam jnanena praviliyate sankalpo vividha karta vicharasoyamidrushaha. In that word-to-word meaning, only one small part is left. Vividhaha, multiple, sankalpaha, thought process, karta is the doer. Yeah. It is like the thought process thinks of an action, desires the result thereof, and becomes the me and mine. Mine is the result, desire for the result. Me is the actor. And so the thought process becomes the me, the doer, the actor. Atma is not the actor. Then what is the Atma? We will see, he is going to say, Atma is the Sakshi, the witness. That is what you are. You are not the doer. Become free from the burden of doership. And this is called moksha. So, yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. The one who knows himself or herself as the non-doer alone knows the truth. That is the Gita, 13th chapter. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you for your attention. I will come at 7:30 for some satsanga to see you. Let us see how many questions we will do. Om.